Good evening, everybody. I'm Mr. Concept, and I will be hosting the show tonight. And with me will be my co-host, Dave Say.
Good evening, everybody. And how are you on this fine September evening?
Right, my apologies for that. I just couldn't resist that. When we were talking about 3D figures last week, I straight away I printed a couple off and I left them running. And today I was doing my little Twitch show in the afternoon, and we were just like, "Oh my God, spur of the moment, speed paint, it's got to be done." So we'll show him off a little bit later on.
Yeah.
And I've got Mrs. Concept as well, and I'm calling them Mrs. Concept. They're far from perfect. The quality isn't perfect, and the poses aren't perfect. But I think that by the time we get to issue 130, I think we can really sort this out. Also, there was one thing I missed. I actually missed something last week. If you've got issue 33, if you haven't got it, you will get it, obviously. If you turn to the advert, I don't know if I've got my copy handy. There's a poster about female conductors. And it does actually say, if you've read it, unlike me at the time, it says that we will be getting a figure at some point in the build of a female conductor who will stand on the rear platform.
Excellent.
So whether that will be the only figure we get or the only conductor that we get, I don't know. So I picked up my magazine today, and obviously each week we don't really know what to show, what to expect. And obviously we weren't given an awful lot of the picture, or just a fuel filler cap. So when I got all of this, I'm like, oh my God, what did you think, Dave?
Well, marvellous, absolutely marvellous, especially after last week, you know, when we was only doing just that one wheel arch, you know,
Yeah,
3 screw, well, there were 6 screws really, wasn't there? But 6 screws and
6 or 7,
you know, yeah, and it just not very much to do at all. But this week, my goodness me.
I think that's really going to set the whole thing off, because we're now starting to put black bits on, which is starting to set it all off.
Yes,
we're effectively going to be putting a black border around it.
Indeed, we are, yes.
So, right, okay, so I got a weird question. Did yours, it's probably a really strange question, but did yours come with a bit of cardboard as well?
It certainly did, yeah. And the reason for that... Yeah, the reason for that is the fact that them safety bars are quite fragile, really, and they do go longer than the magazine. So they obviously wanted to protect them from bending.
Okay, fair enough, you know. Right, yeah. Okay, would you like to look at the build?
Yeah.
And then we'll sort the parts out. Now, I've just lost control of my... Here we go. No, I've lost it again. See, we miss Horlicks, don't we?
We do, yes, we do. I think he's having a fabulous time as well, isn't he?
I hope he's having a good time watching. Hello. So, this is the parts list that we're getting. We are getting.
Yeah,
so we'll have a quick look.
This is the fuel tank, the fuel filler, and the safety bars. And the fuel tanks is attached to the subframe, and the filler neck and cap are attached to the safety bars are fitted along the length of the frame. Be careful to identify all the parts before starting the build. And do you want a list of the parts now, Penny?
Yeah. So
and
oh, hang on, I've lost control. Right, there we go.
There we go.
So let me just switch to my down camera. Now you will see my bus in the top. I brought the bus. I like that. Teddy Connor says, "Who's Horlicks?" Just joking. Yeah, we know I'm going to use the chassis, so rather than having a hernia later on, I thought I'd have a hernia before the show.
Good idea.
So, just sorry, bear with me 1 second while I get my knife and There is also a wonderful surprise today, something that I just did not expect, and it's something that we've been talking about on and off for weeks. But we will come to that.
Okay.
So, chucking my parts on the table like a rebel.
As you usually do.
As I usually do, and then I'll complain later on that I've lost a part. Oh, is that a phone call? Do you need some time to answer that, or do you have a glamorous assistant?
No, it's all right. I have a co-pilot that can answer that.
Okay, so... Oh, lovely. Sorry, more surprises for me. I will get to that. Right, so would you like to call out the pieces in order?
Yeah, key to the parts supplied are 34A, the fuel filler neck.
I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to struggle to find these pieces because they all look fairly similar. But I think that might be it.
Yeah, looks like it.
That's plastic parts.
Yeah. 34B, the fuel filler base. Which
that
looks
like
silver.
it. Yeah, silver and plastic.
Yeah.
I have this on autofocus, but you know my camera isn't the fastest thing in the world. Sometimes I end up giving up and just going, right, actually, we're going to do this. I think it focused better when we did. There we go.
Yeah, that's not so bad, yeah.
Okay.
And then 34C, the fuel filler cap.
There we go. Actually, I've got some tweezers somewhere because these parts are quite small.
They're quite tiny, aren't they?
If I'm turning them around with my fingers, I'm hiding detail up. So
great, yeah.
Okay.
Smashing. And then 34D, the fuel tank bottom.
Okay, and that's quite nicely detailed, actually. It's plastic. Yes. You can see it's plastic, but you've got
ribs on it as well, hasn't it? Yeah.
Oh, that's now that's dents, not screw holes.
Ah, right.
Okay.
34E, the fuel tank top.
Okay, and that's obviously the you know, like it's a top, is it? Oh, so that must be another filler bit. Oh, breather, of course it is. Yeah,
breather cap.
Okay, and that's that.
And then we've got 34F, which are brackets times 2.
Right. Okay. Can I just bring in F and G?
Well, they look the
these
same,
are very similar.
Very similar, yes.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll discover which they are slightly different, but at this stage,
one's left-handed and one's right-handed, probably.
Yeah, but they look different sizes as well.
So that's 34F and 34G.
Actually, they look. See, I've got the wrong ones. There we go.
Yeah, that's it.
Right. 34F, G, H, I, J, and K
are all brackets.
Fairly similar. They're all metal. They're all black. So we're going to have, when we get to that, we're going to have to take our time and figure out which ones they are.
Yes,
as you can see from there, without the instructions in front of us, there doesn't look a lot of difference between them. But, but we'll figure that one out. Okay.
And then 34L is the safety bars times 2.
Okay, I'm going to get these out before I need them. I think they're metal.
Oh, it'd be good if they are.
Yeah.
I haven't actually looked at mine yet.
Oh, I think I just damaged mine. Chucking it on the floor. Yeah, they are definitely metal.
Oh, good. So good.
Don't know if that's going to make a difference. Let me hold this up against something white. There's a little bit of a bend to that.
Ah, right. Could be shaped to the bus.
It could be shaped to the bus. It could have just warped. If it is warped,
might have just got bent in transit, maybe.
Yeah, but they're flexible. I'm sure if I'm careful with them, and they need to go straight, then I can bend them. But I'm sure that you've got a screw hole there on the end, and one about a third of the way in, and one about 2/3. So I'm pretty sure that by the time they're screwed in, they will
and that's where the brackets
straighten
go.
up.
Yeah, that's where them little brackets go onto, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, and then we've got surprise, surprise. I predicted this about 6 weeks ago, maybe more.
You actually did, and we've been talking about this on and off.
We've got four. We've got 4 cradle blocks, and they're 34M.
Yeah. Now there was I'm trying to think of the right word. I won't say complaint, but somebody did say that they don't like the stands that they've sent out. So we'll bear that in mind.
Yeah. And I think we'll find also that there's 4 places on the chassis for them to go as well, hopefully.
Yes. I mean, I've seen this in the packet, and I've had a little look on the do you know what? I can actually see them right now already. So actually you can see it on the bus now. Do you see there and there? That looks like that's where they're going to go. So,
yeah, looks like it.
Is it premature if I do it now? Oh, that's good. That will actually lift the wheels off the ground as well. So
excellent.
That's good. I don't know if it'll be great for me where I move the bus backwards and forwards, but they haven't designed this bus for someone to build on YouTube on a weekly basis.
That's right, yeah.
Teddy Conner was saying that they're exactly the same as the DeLorean ones, which are useless. But now we've got a shape. Maybe I can look at 3D printing.
Yeah, maybe that bottom block could be wider.
Yeah.
Something like that, yeah.
I mean, I'd perhaps like to see them joined up. So put a bar across there, and then maybe a bar going across. So we'd have like all 4 of them as one piece.
Yes.
And I think I could probably... Yeah, I think I could fit that on the build plate. Okay, so
screws
you could do me a favour and call out the screws, and while you're calling the screws out, I shall just be popping them in the pots.
Okay.
In no particular order for me.
Well, I'll go in the order that they come in, and the first ones are pretty new ones to us. I don't think we've had them before, and that is IP screws at 2.3.
Is that an Ipswich postcode?
Yeah, 2.3 by 5 mil times 3, and then we've got QM, and I don't know whether we've had QM before or not, have we?
No, I don't have a pot labelled QM.
And QM are 1.7 by 5 mil times 3.
Is it quite sad that we're getting excited over brand new screws?
Well, little things amuse little minds, don't they?
Yeah, so they say. We all have little minds then. Is there anybody not getting excited over the new screws?
And then we've got CP, 2 mil by 4 mil times 2. And are they a new screw? CP?
No, we have seen those.
We had CP before.
These are the CPs. We haven't. Well, we've seen quite a bit. We've got a bit of a collection of them.
Yeah. And then we've got GM, good old GMs.
Good old GMs.
At 2.3 by 5 mil times 5. And CMs, and they're 1.7 by 4 mil times 10. So there's obviously a lot of CMs.
Yes.
And then we have EMs, 1.5 by 4 mil times 10.
I genuinely never believed there could be so many types of screw.
I didn't at all.
I mean, the guys who have done lots of part works, they're probably going, oh, you haven't seen anything yet. But we haven't even, you know, all the screws that I've seen. I mean, I've got some like machine, what do they call them, machine screws? And I've seen the wood screws, but I've never seen so many tiny screws like this. Okay, so that's my screw. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 different types of screw. So we'll pop these away because they're not going to be used in this build.
No.
Right, so
So,
got my screwdriver and bits ready. I've got a lot of things on the parts tray. I
yeah.
may be in a muddle to start with, and I do
No, that's
apologise if I
fine.
am.
That's absolutely fine. We'll go nice and steady. There's no rush.
No. Right, so it'll
So,
help if I use the right. So
you
what's
want?
going to happen, guys, is normally Horlicks would call out the instructions, but Dave's setup isn't. We're not able to get that sorted out. So I'm actually going to be displaying the instructions, but Dave is still going to be calling out the instructions. So it looks like we've got a nice simple start. Even I can manage that. So there is stage one for you.
Thank you. Okay, so you'll tell me when you're ready, Penny.
Ready when you are.
Okay. Well, item number one then on the instructions is take the fuel tank bottom 34D and the fuel tank top 34E and check the orientation of the part 34D, noting that the two small indentations circled in red fixed together with two IP screws.
Okay, so they've just made that very simple with that description. What we have is I'm going to place this part. And I notice that the little tabs on the side, they're going to
Yeah,
be towards me. And then, like they say, the circle with the little two indentations, that's going to be towards me.
yeah,
So, where's my mouse gone? Right. So basically what we're going to do, we see we have the the tabs there, and the two tabs at the top, they're going to be away from me. And then on this part, we've got the two indentations, which are going to be towards me. And
yeah,
they're going to go on like so.
yeah,
And they're going to be fixed with two IP screws. Make sure they fit the screwdriver. And I'm just going to pop that in just a little bit, just so that it catches.
I'm off to invest in one of them screwdrivers because they are
Oh,
just superb, aren't they?
everybody who's tried them has loved them. And the thing is, if you got them from Amazon, which is where we got them from, Amazon have a really good returns policy.
Yeah,
So if you don't like it, send it back. I mean,
yeah,
some this discussion's gone on in the Facebook group as well. And some people have said, I bought this from here and I bought that from there. And you know, at the end of the day, if you've got a screwdriver that you're comfortable with, then don't go out and buy another one for the sake of it. Um, but you know, if you're looking for a new screwdriver, give it a try. And if you don't like it, send it back.
well,
I've sent loads of stuff back to Amazon. I sent stuff back because I didn't want it anymore.
yeah,
I ordered it by mistake, and they've gone okay, fine, and they give me my money back. Right, so that's that
okay, so
part,
that one then done.
and
Okay,
I'm actually looking at the next stage, and
you're
it
looking at
looks
it.
like I've done that correctly.
Yeah, looks like that too.
So,
Yeah. Okay, so
right, so let's bring
number
up
two
the
then.
second stage.
So number two is fix
Do you
the
know what?
fuel tank
Horlicks are
in
so
place.
much better at this than me.
So much better than me as well. Fix the fuel tank in place on the subframe. Use 4 GM screws, fitting them through the screw eyes on 34E and into the sockets on 17A. 17A must be the chassis itself, wouldn't it?
Yes,
So, and then
because
we've
that's
got a
what
red,
came in part 17.
and we've got a red circled bit on here that says the tank is fitted on the underside of the subframe. Take care when turning the assembly over.
Okay.
And obviously, a big warning there. Please do take care, everybody, when you're turning this chassis subframe over, because obviously you've got your engine in, and
Yeah.
I think some good advice is needed on, you know, foam blocks or bits of cardboard or
Yeah,
something to protect everything when you are turning this over now.
yeah. Well, I'm actually doing a don't do what I do, and I've turned my chassis over, and it is actually resting on the engine. The front wheel arches aren't as tall as the engine, so
Yeah,
obviously be very careful. And
yeah.
it's showing off my broken pipe as well. Now
Oh,
this part is actually could not be simpler. Um, you've got two holes there, and
yeah,
you've got two holes there,
yeah.
and then you've got the two holes there and the tabs on the side, and that will just pop in like that,
Excellent.
almost as though that's made to go in that position.
Yeah. And
So
one thing you mustn't forget is your washing up liquid.
I was just thinking that, but thank you for the reminder. I'd rather be reminded when I already realised than not reminded when I forgot. So I know quite often we put it into the onto the screw, but I'm just going to go quite quick and just do it into the hole. Now, you'll notice that this side of the frame here is angled and these
Yeah,
tabs are flat, but the actual screw holes, I can't really show you, but if you got the chassis like that, the screw holes actually come out like that at
yeah.
an angle, so it flattens it. So you are going to be screwing that onto a flat surface. And as we always do with oops, there we go. You pop it in upside down, it's not going to go because of the position of the tabs. But it is really, it's a beautiful fit. You'll
Smashing that.
know if that's incorrectly.
Yeah,
So,
smashing.
as we always do with metal screws, we just pop it in just enough to bite. And on the other side, just enough to bite. So if I now lifted that,
Yeah,
that's not going to fall out.
excellent.
So then we pop the third one in just enough to bite. I'm sorry, I am going to, because I'm resting this on the engine, I'm being very careful to make sure I support the bottom. I don't want to push too much pressure onto the engine. And I don't think it would hurt to hold the bottom, even if it was supported underneath. Two supports has got to be better than none.
It's got to be, hasn't it?
So I'm just going back into the previous screws, and I'm just giving them a few turns. There's quite a lot of turns on that, so it's not going all the way in a few turns, but we'll just keep giving each screw just a few turns. Keep the pressure even. There we go. That's in as tight as it'll go. I can get more on that. I've just gone until it wants to stop. And then we can assess it after that. Might want to screw it in more. It might be sufficient. I'm getting arm ache. Can you believe that? Right, that is solid. So I've got more in there. If it comes loose, I can always just pop a little bit more pressure on that. Okay, so
Excellent.
Now a little bit of fun fact, which I might get wrong. I think that's a 29-gallon tank. And I know that the Routemaster will do approximately 10 miles to the gallon, which doesn't sound a lot. But if you transfer that into passenger miles, it's huge. And what I mean by passenger miles is if you have a 7-seat car that does 30 to the gallon, that is 210 passenger miles per gallon. Because yeah, this is 10 miles to the gallon. It holds what, 70 odd people?
Mm.
So that's over 700 passenger miles.
Yeah.
So you can see what they mean by how many cars this keeps off the road.
Yeah.
I did see a joke once, and it said the average bus takes 17 cars off the road, But personally, I think that just depends how aggressive the driver is.
Yeah. With his right foot, yeah.
With his right foot, yeah. Okay, so that's stage 2 done. Now comes a really hard bit. I've got to change this image to the next one.
To
And I
stage
think
3,
I've
yeah.
done that okay, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, you have.
Right.
All you've got to do is blow it up a bit. That's it, yeah.
Yeah, I think I've blown. Oh, there you go. That's fine.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with that. I could get better, but it could go a lot worse. So,
No, I
would you
think
like
that's
to
fine.
do?
Right, well, stage 3 is identify the fixing points for the brackets on the underside of the crossbars of the frame 17A and 16A. That's obviously the chassis. There is a screw hole and a socket at each point circled in red above. Fix the bracket 34H to the front of the bus, brackets 34F on the middle 2 crossbars, and bracket 34J at the rear. See insert right. So if you look at the insert that Penny's put up there on the right, check that you have them the right way round so that the pegs on the brackets match the sockets and the screw holes on the brackets match the screw holes on the crossbars. Fix in place with 4 CM screws, but do not fully tighten them until the safety bar 34L has been fitted in the next step. And then we have a warning circle of handle the frame with care when working on the underside. The red dotted lines below indicate where the pegs are fitted, and the blue arrows indicate where the screws are fitted. So quite a lot of information there.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, I'm just going to quickly just flick back to me. Right. So while you've been doing that, I've been sorting the pieces out. I think I'm pretty confident these are both 34F. And I'm confident that these are both 34G. Now, 34H and 34I, they're the same, but they've got a little screw part on them, which means that either that is H and that's I, and the screw hole points down, or that is H and that is I, and the screw hole points up. However, that looks like a locating pin.
Yes.
Okay. So I think I got a feeling that if we got this the wrong way round, it's not going to fit.
Good.
Oh, that's not
glad.
going to fit either.
Right.
Right. Okay. Aha. Ha 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 ha. Right. Sorry, guys. I'm having to have a play here. Right.
No, that's fair enough, because the orientation of it is quite awkward within the magazine itself, isn't it?
Yeah, right. So let's have a quick look at the instructions again, and then I'll get the pieces out.
Okay.
So we need an H, which I'm confident that I've got.
34H
right.
and 34F, yeah.
Right, have I got the whole thing on?
Do you want to take it one by one?
Do you know, I've missed a part of the scan off there, I think.
Oh, just a little bit to the right.
Right, yeah, I've just missed a bit of the right off, so...
Well, it's 34J right on the edge of the page.
Okay.
34J.
So, it's the outer one. Brilliant. That helps us. Right. Okay. So what we've got is we've got 34F in the middle.
Yeah.
And they're both identical, and I'm confident that I've got 34Fs correct.
Yes. And it's on the opposite side to the fuel tank, isn't it?
Yeah.
And if
Do
you
you
look
know
at the
what?
chart,
Right. Okay. 34G and 34H are identical apart from which side the tab is on. Let me show you what I mean. Right. So what we've got here is we've got 4 pieces that are absolutely identical to look at face down.
yeah,
The difference, let me just get rid of those 2 for the moment. The difference between F and G is the side that the hole is on.
yes,
So I'm going to make a call and I'm going to say that it doesn't matter which way round they go. But if you put that one in, make sure all the other 3 have got the screw hole on the same side. Looking at the magazine, it looks like actually, no, I've just figured it all out. Right. So, yeah, I figured it. Right. So, ignore what I've just said for the moment. Right. If
I'm
you
wondering
look
if
at
you, I'm wondering if you're best going
F,
to,
right, if you look at the Fs, you
yeah,
can see that the actual screw hole pokes out to the right.
yes,
Right, now this piece on there, the screw hole pokes out to the left.
yeah,
And then on this side, I'm guessing that that will poke out to the left as well.
yeah,
Okay, so
yes.
I'm going to let you look at that while I,
So all you've got
because
to do is get the orientation right of them, and then you've cracked it.
yeah, the reason I'm actually, I'll be honest with you, I'm holding that instruction up there so that I can read it,
Yeah.
and then I can, on my magazine, I've got the parts list.
So you
So
want the chassis upside down, which you already have, haven't you?
yeah,
Yeah, and
that's not it.
you're working on the opposite side to the fuel tank.
Right, that's not that's going in. Right, that's not. I am so sorry, guys, but I'm trying to get this.
Horlicks, where are you when we need you? It's
Right,
all right sunning
I'm gonna
yourself
have
on
to get
that
my
beach.
magnifying glass out.
It's all right sunning
Gotcha.
yourself on that
Right.
beach, isn't it?
Yeah. Right. Okay. This is what I've done while you've been looking at that. So the piece that they are calling 34H
Yeah.
is here. The reason I think that's correct is because I think the actual, this piece minus the tab rests on the inside, which
Yes.
means that that screw hole has to go out to the left.
Yes. Nearest the
Right.
wing. Yes.
Yeah. Now the 234Fs, they clearly have the tab going out to the right,
Yes, they
and it
do.
looks like the rounded piece is towards me.
Yeah.
Right. So there's the round, what I'm calling the rounded piece, and that
Yeah.
piece I'm calling the straight piece.
Yeah.
Right. Now, because the tab for 34J is going the opposite side to 34H, it
Yeah.
therefore, by the process of elimination, has to be this piece.
Yes.
Whew. But this just goes to show you do have to sometimes take your time.
Yes, indeed.
So I'm looking for CM screws, and CM stands for, Chris?
CM stands for metal, does it not?
Metal and washing up liquid.
Metal and washing up liquid, correct.
Yeah. M stands for make sure you use washing up liquid.
Right.
Yeah.
P stands for probably doesn't matter if you don't put it on.
Or something like that.
Oh, I'm on fire today. Right. See, now you guys are probably all daft enough that you'll probably remember that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the screw into the hole there. And then I'm going to bring this to the chassis. Now, unfortunately, I'm right-handed, so I'm probably going to end up blocking your view.
That's okay.
Oh. The mud flap is in the way. There we go. So I'm going to keep double checking that. I may actually have the wrong screw head. I do apologize. I was sometimes, you know, not other days I might have a little sit and have a little chat with Horlicks about things. And one of the comments that no, that was the right head. And one of the things that we commented on is if your screwdriver is clicking, you've probably got the wrong size head on.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know that sounds crazy, but sometimes you're so eager to get in with the build and go for it. Right, I like that. That's solid. That's got a bit. It's got a little bit of flex to it, but that's because there's a big metal piece poking up.
Yeah.
But that's solid.
Yeah, it looks grand.
You know, and it's gone in so easily. I have genuinely never had a problem since I've been using washing up liquid. The hole in there for the locating pin, it was a little bit tight, but that's probably because of a little tiny bit of paint in there from the chassis.
Yeah, funnily enough, it hasn't said about bits of paint recently, has it? So
I think because of the washing up liquid and the good screwdriver, I think it's just cut straight through it.
Yeah. It makes such a difference taking it apart as well.
Yeah.
Because we've been working on our fronts, both me and Christine. So we've been working on our fronts of our buses.
Okay, guys, do not rest your chassis on its engine. I've just got very lucky and I've only knocked these pieces off.
Oh.
But that's fine. I make the mistake so that you don't have to. We know what's coming in the next part, don't we?
Yeah.
That's nice and solid. I imagine there's been a few people been watching this and gone, oh, ever since I rested it on the engine. I mean, it is a daft thing to do.
Well, it just shows people what can happen, doesn't it, really?
Yeah.
It's not the fact that you are doing it deliberately. It's the fact that you are showing people that things can break quite easily.
Yeah. Chris, yes, I did see your messages. For a change, I've actually written down a schedule. The show very rarely goes as we've intended it. But every now and again, I do write down a battle plan because I do have. Sorry, sometimes I can't focus and talk at the same time. There you go. I'll start to bring that across now. Yeah, I've got something else I've got to do as well, which I was reminded by someone else. And I know I forget things. So if he's watching, he will probably remind me. And that's absolutely fine. Like I said earlier on, I'd rather be reminded twice I'd rather be reminded when I've already got it in hand than not reminded when I've forgotten about it. Right. So try and get the screw. I did find that a little bit easier. You haven't got an awful lot of space to work with once you put this in. So if you can get the screwdriver, and if you haven't got one of these, perhaps think about using the thin screwdrivers. In fact, to be honest with you, I'm going to do this one with a Routemasters screwdriver, purely because you see how it's nice and thin. So what I'll do is I'll do that, and I'll just, as you can see from these three, I can easily do it with the Aurea screwdriver. But I'm just going to use the Routemasters just to get it going, look. And now I can continue with the Aurea.
Yeah, excellent.
I mean, obviously, if you haven't got an Aurea, you're never going to use it. But there we go. Oops, no, that's not good. That's terrible. That's bent. Right, I'm going to unscrew that.
Has it twisted over?
Yeah. I've just knocked this pipe again. I think I might actually have accidentally screwed the screw in at an angle. So we'll give that another go. I mean, it might well be that I didn't quite have it in the locating pin enough.
You've got the screw in the left-hand side of the bracket, haven't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a lot better. I think maybe I didn't have the pin in the actual hole. So to basically recap, the middle ones, you're going to have the tabs on. If you're looking at it with this away from you, you're going to have the tabs to your right. And on the big ones, you're going to have the tabs on the left. If that makes sense.
Well, on the center ones, you can have the screws on the right. Yeah.
And can you see my deliberate mistake there? There. I've got it upside down.
All right.
That's probably why it didn't go in well. So again, check your work afterwards. Right, it should have actually been that way, not that way. We want the flat bit on the outside of the bus, which then means... Well, that's odd. Right. J and H. J and H. Ah, J is the smaller of the two. Right, so... Sorry, guys. Let me just double check something.
Yeah, there's two Fs, two Gs, one H, one L, one J, and one K.
Yeah, right. If you were to get a ruler, these three are the same height. I've just popped a ruler on. I don't know if you noticed me doing it. Now, putting this one in, whether you put it in flat side out or in, it now upsets the balance. Yeah, can you see that's poking out on the top? So, my advice, now that I've done this, get these two small ones in, because you can clearly see which side the tab is. The tab is going on your right. Then you can place a ruler. Then you can dry fit these pieces. And that will tell you if they're the right pieces. So if I'd have done a dry fit there, I would have clearly seen that's not the piece. So we'll get another piece, which I think might be the one.
Which should be 34J.
Which I think is this one. And we've got the flat side is going to be on the outside. And we've got the tab on the left. So now we'll do a dry fit. And then I'll do the ruler. It doesn't have to be a ruler. It could be the magazine. That will do the job just as well. And there we go.
Oh, excellent.
That's about the same height. That's about the same height. So brilliant. So that's good. I don't mind making a mistake if I learn from it.
Well spotted there.
But maybe it was trying to tell me that it was wrong. Remember, it was a little bit at an angle. Maybe that was the bus's way of saying, well, hang on, Penny, you've got this wrong.
Yeah.
But I did that final check at the end, and I looked at it and I thought, it doesn't look right. And then I checked the flat sides. So all the flat sides are going to be on the outside.
So that's okay. Number 3 complete then.
Yeah. A little bit longer than it needed to be, but, you know, that's the way it goes. That's actually part 5 done, isn't it?
No, part 3.
No, my bad. Sorry, my bad. Right, so next will be part
4. And part 4 is turn the assembly.
Coming up.
turn the assembly right way up again. Take one of the bars 34L. Check that the holes align with the brackets. Align the 4 screw holes with the screw sockets in the brackets. 34H, 34F and 34J. Fix the bar in place with 4 EM screws and fully tighten the brackets fitted in the previous step.
Okie dokie. Sorry, I'm still just checking. Right. Okay, so what I've been doing while you've been describing it, I've had a look at this bar. I think we need to just bring that up a little bit. I've actually turned it on its side. I've been a bit naughty there. Now, this bar, there doesn't seem to be a top and a bottom to it. So what I've done is I've had a little look, and I think this is the nicer side. So I'm going to place this side out.
Yeah.
And I'm dry fitting it where the holes are. The holes seem to fit. And now you can see the importance of these 4 pieces all being the same size.
Yeah.
And as it happens, the bend is going to be going outwards for me.
Yeah.
And I can clearly see that once we screw that in, that will just pull that in. So because the bend is in the middle, I'm going to fix the outsides first. And then the middle 2 should bring that in.
Yeah,
okay,
the magazine shows it straight, but it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, you can see that it will go straight. So, Chris Davies, why am I putting washing up liquid on these holes? Right, so that's the washing up liquid on. So, I'll start at the back, shall I?
Yeah, right, you could do. It doesn't actually say which ones you have to do.
It doesn't matter which order you do them in. Right, I'm really making a pig's ear of this. So I might have to come up with a... Oh, we tell you what, I have got a funny story for you of sorts. We had a situation yesterday on school buses. And it wasn't my bus. I wish it was. But the kids on the top deck at the back, being kids, were giving... There you go, Chris, to make screws. Oh. Right, Penny, don't talk and work. That's what my teacher used to tell me at school. Eyes down, mouth shut. No, we had the kids at the back of the bus making rather rude hand gestures to the motorists behind. Well, one guy got a little bit irate, decides that he's going to get in front of the bus and stop the bus, and he wants to get on the bus and confront this child, which is always going to be a bad idea. Adult versus child, the child is always going to come off better in the media. But I said to the guy, to the driver afterwards, I said, you know what you should have done, don't you? And he said, what? I said, well, if it had been me, right, okay, that's that's really not working out for me. So I'm going to start from the other end. I will not be beaten. Because if I can get one end secure, the other end should be easier to get in. Yeah, I would have told the guy, can you just wait there? I'll sort this. And I can see what the problem is. The holes are filled in with something, paint. Please don't say that there we go. I've got a bite. I had a bite, then I've dropped the screwdriver. Yeah, and then I would have made the man wait downstairs, preferably off the bus. I would have gone upstairs and I would have found out who the child was. Right. Okay. Right. I'm going to interrupt myself here. This bar is directional.
All right.
Right. These two ends will fit. But because I've turned it the other way round, can you see there's a hole there?
Oh, yes.
Right. The hole is there.
Yeah.
The screw hole is there. So if I now take this screw off, do you know what? I think I'm using the wrong screw head. It's a smaller screw. That's why I'm struggling with it. There we go. That's going to be a lot better. This is why they give you two screwdrivers, because one screwdriver is better for some screws. Yeah, so I would have confronted the child and, you know, found out who he was.
Yeah.
And I'm very good at finding the culprit, because I always make out I'm going to take it out on 3 children if the one child responsible isn't revealed, and they all soon point the finger at the person who it is.
Yeah.
I've done that before. I've said, if I don't find out who it is, I'm going to pick 5 children at random and I'm going to throw them all off the bus instead. And usually find about 10 people will point the finger. But what I would have said is I would have found out who the child was, and then I would have said, there's a man downstairs would like to have a word with you after you stuck your fingers up to him. And I wouldn't have ever let the man and the child meet.
No.
But it would have scared the child so much he probably will never do it again.
Yeah.
Right. This isn't a perfect match. There's going to be a little bit of manipulating to go. You see that screw hole, if you can see it's slightly out.
Oh, yeah.
And this one's slightly out. But if we just manipulate it, it will go without wrecking it. And I actually think this will strengthen the chassis as well.
Should do, yeah, should do.
So now I've got those 2 outer screws in. I think these ones will go in a lot easier. So see, I'm gripping the bar with these 2 fingers, and I'm just with a middle finger. I'm just pushing that.
Yeah.
So that all comes in together. It's one of these things that you just do. It's a lot easier to do than it is to explain it. And these camera angles don't work for me. I am actually going to be trying out a new camera. I've got a digital SLR, and there's a piece of software. I've used it before and it does work, but it actually enables you to use your DSLR as a webcam.
Yeah.
And the advantage with that is much better picture quality, because you're using a device that is primarily used for taking sharp pictures. And it's not recording it to the camera. It's just feeding it from the camera along a cable and then recording it from there. So, because normally with a DSLR, you can't record for more than 30 minutes. And if it records for more than 30 minutes, under taxation rules, it's classed as a camcorder.
Ah, right.
And the tax is different. And I think camcorders are taxed higher than digital SLRs. So it's a way for them to keep their costs down.
Yeah, I didn't know that, actually.
No, I only found that out when I was playing with this software. Right, so after a lot of faff, that safety bar is in.
Excellent.
And I'm liking that now. And I really think that I'm going to deliberately try and flex my... Actually, I've now got movement in the chassis that I didn't have before. That must be where I'm pressing it, but that's not going to go anywhere now, is it?
No.
With 2 bars supporting it.
Be even stronger, yeah.
Right.
So, number 5 then. So that's
item number 5. So if you want to describe item number 5 when I bring it up. Sorry, my camera's gone all over the place, but
that's all right.
Right. So I'll try and bring 5 up. We know what's coming, really, don't we?
Yeah, we know what's coming. Yeah.
But while you're reading that out, that will give me a chance to get the bus ready. Oops, that's too big, isn't it?
Bit too much, but
extreme close. What was that? It was some comedy film. I think they were taking the mickey out of the 3D film market, and they were like extreme close up. Right. Okay. There you go.
Okay, that'll do. Yeah. Well, you get ready then, Penny, and I'll say well. This is number 5.
I'm getting ready.
Identify the fixing points for the brackets on the crossbars of the frame 17A and 16A on the other side of the frame. Again, there is a screw hole and a socket at each point. Fix bracket 34K at the rear of the bus. Brackets 34G on the middle 2 crossbars. And bracket 34L at the front. See insert right. Check that you have them the right way round and the red dotted lines indicated which side the peg is fitted. Fit the brackets in place loosely with 4 cm screws as indicated by the blue arrows. And then you've got a red circle that says the positions of the fixing points are indicated by red circles. They are not clearly visible in this diagram. So
yes, thank you, Hachette, for explaining that in stage 5, and we discovered that in stage 3.
We did, yes.
Okay, so I'm doing this. I'm going to do this one slightly differently because it's more experiment. I've kept it on its side, but it means that I'm working under there because I've practiced with part C, and we'll see how it goes. It might well be this is a terrible way. I'm just going to do another little pause because I think there was a post on Facebook that I noticed today, and we didn't quite get it at the time. Right, Adrian Olin, I hope you don't mind me mentioning, but he said to fit the brackets on the chassis, don't use the CM screws. They're too small. Use MM screws, but cut 1/3 off. Now, I've done this, and I think that's solid. In fact, I'm prepared to do this. If this goes wrong, I'm going to have a lot of egg on my face. Right. There is the safety bar, and we all know how... Oh, sorry. There isn't the safety bar. There is the safety bar. And we all know how heavy this chassis is.
Oh, look at that.
So I'm suggesting, I hope Adrian's watching. I would now suggest that you may have a problem part because would you say these screws are too small?
No.
I mean, obviously, some of you haven't got the chassis yet, and you don't appreciate how heavy this is. But Dave, you've got the chassis. Do you want to estimate the weight of it?
Yeah, 4.5 kilos, something like that.
4.5 kilos.
Maybe
so
5.
We've got 4.5 kilos has just been supported by 4 CM screws. So I really don't know how to respond to that. But it's he is correct in saying that it will help with the chassis sag, because that's not going to sag there anymore, is it?
Yeah, yeah.
Right. So, having done the first side, we know.
Really, yeah.
Yeah. So we know we want to keep the screw holes to my left, and we want these flat sides on the outside. So we'll pop these two on first, which is what we discussed, what I think we should have done the first time. Obviously, when you've never done the build and you see the instructions, you wouldn't think to do the middle first. Most people work at one end or the other. Now, I have pre-whopped these while you were describing the build, so don't think I'm forgetting the washing up liquid. I haven't.
You've whooped them up, have you?
I've whooped them up. Yep. I love doing this show. I'll tell you what I was saying to Horlicks the other day. When I started doing videos on this, it was kind of more for my own benefit. I was doing a video diary. It'd be nice to go back right to the beginning one day. What I did not expect is the friendships that I've built up. I've had conversations. I had a conversation with someone on Facebook the other day, and I think the conversation started off with him saying, "Hope you don't mind me calling, just a quick call." And I think we hung up about an hour and 20 minutes later. And it was absolutely fantastic. And that's not gone in well. You can kind of feel when it's not located properly. So, but it's only enough just to bite. And you'll see this clearer when I get my DSLR sorted out. I hope it works anyway, but the theory that I had was when I used my DSLR before, because the software that I use for streaming, it has quite a lot going on, and running a camera and software, it was just too much.
Yeah.
But doing it on YouTube, it's not using like overlays and chat modules, and it's all kept it separate. So the theory is that because there's less running, it might work. Right.
Yeah.
So it looks like, yeah, of course. Yeah. What we found out on the last one was that whichever way these screw holes are going, in this case on the left, the larger ones will go on the right. And don't forget, I said to use a ruler, but since we know this is going on, we could use this as a guide.
Yes.
I don't know at this point which way round that's going to go, but we're looking for the supports to come out to about there.
Yeah.
So I'm actually, I've got a feeling this is the wrong one. And if it is the wrong one, it kind of proves my point. So we'll put this one on. We know the tab's got to go that way, flat side out. So
towards
in it goes. Yeah. Oh no, that's not enough, is it?
Yeah.
So I know that's the wrong side. So we'll pop it on the other side. Sorry, off camera. And that looks good to me.
Yeah,
you see it just in the corner there? So, yeah. So we'll pop this one in. Flat side goes out, which is up for you guys.
Yeah.
And we'll pop that in. And we'll get the bar. I'm not pushing it down hard. There we go. That looks good to me. So there you go. When I said use steel ruler, use this. Use the safety bar. Use the equipment they give us. So I'll pop this one in next because it's already in my hand. And you can see where I've just scuffed it a little bit from where I tried to put it on the last side. Sorry that you're not going to see that. Oh, I've just knocked it out. This is very fiddly.
We've had worse though, Penny.
Oh God, yeah. I think looking at comments I've seen on various groups, I would say as a whole, the most complicated issue must have been issue 29 because so many people have reported problems with that.
With the engine, yeah. Me included. Me included.
Yeah, it was the pipes.
Yeah.
And again, it might be some people have had, maybe I've been really lucky because they couldn't have deliberately sent me good issues because this issue that I do on stream, that comes from the news agents.
Yeah.
So, but I think they only get the one copy. Maybe they know. Maybe they know I'm from Newport and they know that I get it from W.H. Smith's. So maybe there's a little note and they say, look, we must send W.H. Smith's the best issue we've got. Send all of the good issues to Newport and all the poor issues to Swansea. I bet that's what they've done. Right, I'm going to bring that up. So that's that issue done. Do you want the description, guys, for the next stage, or do you want me just to go straight into it?
Well, I think the description is as of number 4, and that is take the second bar 34L with the rounded edges on the outside, align the 4 screw holes with the screw sockets in the brackets 34K, 34G and 34L, and fix the bar with 4 EM screws. And it says, as with steps 3 and 4, only tighten the CM screws to fix the brackets once the bar is in place.
Or roughly translated exactly the same as the previous stage, or the previous but one stage. Do you know, I'm sorry, guys. I've just noticed I've lost my chat. So I'm just going to bring that up while I've... Oh, Horlicks, how are you?
Oh, yeah, hi, Horlicks.
Well, sorry, Horlicks. So there's a new person in the chat, Horlicks. Does anyone know who Horlicks is?
No.
So I'm just going to measure this up because remember we had the holes. Oh, sorry, I'm on the wrong screen again. As you can see, Horlicks, some things never change. I'm still as useless as ever. Right, so I'll line up the holes here because they're definitely going to go in. And I can see that these holes here aren't lining up. So I know I've got that the wrong way round.
It says with the rounded edges onto the outside.
Do you know what? I didn't spot that. There's not a massive difference, but they are slightly more rounded. So it looks like... Oh, no, I could... You see, that you can turn it over like this. So what I'm doing is I'm looking at the nicer side. And I think that's the nicer side. As it happens, it's the side that curves outwards. So, and remember to change. You need a smaller screw head for this one. That's what we discovered last time. I've already pre-whooped them.
You've whooped them up?
Whooped them up. So 1, 2, 3, 4, about 15 screws just come out there. I don't know what I've been doing, but I seem to have a massive amount of EM screws. So we've obviously used these in the past, haven't we? Quite a lot.
Yeah.
Right, so screw in and look for this because we are going to be screwing it into a painted part. So obviously if we miss the screw hole, we're going to scratch it. And that's in just, sorry guys, I missed that again. So I've just put that in just enough to bite. And then I'll do the same on the other end. Pop it in the screw hole. Find the hole. Look for it. Oh, I do need a little bit of just pushing it around a little bit. There we go. That's gone in. And have I gone off camera again? I have, haven't I?
Just slightly.
Right, and that's in. Whoops. So that's fine. I'm I'm not going to tighten these up fully, but I'm just going to give them another couple of turns. Oh, that's right. It felt loose. It kind of rattled, but it was the fact that it wasn't in. And the reason I've just tightened them up beyond just biting is just to bring this a little bit closer in the middle. So just like before, it's going to need a little bit of manipulating, but not too much. So I'm going to hold it with my, going to hold it with my 2 fingers, and I'm just going to manipulate it with my middle finger. So this time I've got to pull it that way instead of pushing it that way. And there we go. That's lined up.
That's with the red circled tick bit in the magazine. It says, as with step 3 and 4, only tighten the CM screw to fix the brackets once the safety bar is in place.
Yes.
So you can manipulate it a little bit.
Exactly. I mean, we just put the screws in just to bite, pretty much as a standard procedure, because it then means if you found you've made a mistake, they're easier to pull out. So I'm happy. I'm just going to move that back again. This poor old pipe that I broke many weeks ago, and I just haven't bothered repairing again because I found I was repairing it like twice a week. And I just thought I'm not going to repair it anymore because I'll just repair it once it's final. Right, so that screw is in. That screw is now in. And the final screw is in.
And
so
are they in the chassis? Are they in the chassis all right, Penny?
They're in the chassis absolutely fine. So again, I've got the confidence here. Basically they're saying that these are too short. So I've got to be careful here because the fuel tank's in the way. But look, if they were too short, would they do that? Would they allow me to do that? I mean, I'm taking a big risk there. I could bend those bars, but I want to just kind of try and make a point here. Yeah. What I'm going to say is on my particular bus, I don't think they're too short. So my advice would be don't lift it up by this safety bar just in case they don't work. But go ahead with the CM screws. See how you get on. If you have a problem, you've then got 2 options. You can contact Hachette and say, there's obviously a problem because my safety bars aren't holding. Or if you want to go a little bit freelance, the suggestion being take screws and cut a third off. Apparently they're long enough. I'm not going to do that because I'm happy with my pieces. Okay, are you all happy with the build to date? I don't think there's much to do now, actually.
No, there's not a lot to do now. You're on stage 7 now, really.
Right, let's see if I'm clever enough to do Horlicks' job and change the instructions. I can do it. I'm just not as quick as him. He really knows what he's doing, don't he? And I'm not just saying that because he's probably watching it.
But he does know.
Although I am waiting for. Oh, here's a bit I completely forgot about. Oh, it seems to want to centralize for some reason. So, like I say, Horlicks he'd been up to the end of the book by now. Okay, so at this stage 7 and 8.
Yeah, stage 7 is take the filler cap 34C and insert the screw eye between the arms of the filler base, as indicated by the dotted line. Fix in place with a CP screw, passing the screw eyes on the parts 34B and 34C and into the screw socket on the second arm of 34B.
Right, so we have pretty much done this
Yes.
before when we did one of the filler caps in the engine. And I've actually now had, I say, fortune to have done this again with someone. I went to visit someone the other week, and I can't remember which way round it is, but when you pop the screw in there, you'll find that the screw, it either only screws, cuts the thread into this piece and not this piece, or it cuts into this piece and not this piece.
Yeah.
And then once that screw is in, because it's not screwing into both pieces, it'll allow that to flip up and down okay.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to screw into the middle one. So CP screw.
CP screw, yeah.
Oh, that's a big screw. That looks rather large, actually.
And
do you know, there it is.
Yeah, it's P for plastic.
P for probably doesn't matter if we don't put washing up liquid on it. So. Ah, right. Okay. So what I've just noticed is on the final piece is going to look like this.
Yeah.
So I'm going to call this the top.
Yeah.
So on one side you've got, I'm so sorry guys, sometimes this focus is brilliant and sometimes it isn't. Right, on one side you've got a hole, and on the other side you've got a smaller hole.
Ah, right.
Okay. And looking at the screw, it's not going to go in that smaller hole.
No.
You might be able to screw it in, but then on the other side, you can actually put the screw in without screwing it.
Yeah, that's the way it goes in on the magazine.
So it's obviously going to screw into, so it's going to screw into this one, into the cap, but we need to get at that cap via this. So we really need to make sure that's lined up absolutely spot on.
Yeah.
Which I think that is not actually. Right, okay. Fiddly fingers time, because I'm not only am I trying to line this up, but I'm trying to keep this screw on the end of the screwdriver. So, right, I'm going to go with that. So, we're going to push that through. We're going to gently turn. I think I've got a bite there. Yeah. Lovely. I'm happy with that. So now obviously I don't need to hold the cap. And I don't know if we'll be able to, but you're not going to want to screw it so it comes all the way through to the other end.
I think it'll just spread it out more, wouldn't it? Yeah, I think that's okay.
Yeah, we've got fully worked. And actually that feels a stiff. 1 to 12th scale stiff.
Yeah.
So, because I know they are really stiff to open, especially when you've got a build-up of dried up old diesel around the hinges.
Yeah.
Because you know the fitters never really washed them properly. So
that concludes number 7, really.
Oh, sorry, no, I thought I'd accidentally gone into part 8 as well. I thought I jumped ahead of myself.
No, not yet.
Right.
So part 8 then.
Which we've already got up. Look at how wonderful I am at that.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with the fact that I got 7 and 8 up at the same time.
Part 8 is take the fuel filler neck 34A and identify its fixing point on the frame 17A. Fix the fuel filler cap assembly in place with 2 QM screws so that they pass through the screw holes in parts 34B and 34A and into the frame of 17A. The insert right shows the fuel filler fixed in place. So the little black 34A you want. Bracket.
Right. So I've turned the bus over. Now, on the section where we've done the fuel tank, we're now looking at this from the top, and we can see half of the fuel tank. It's got a hole in it. Does that? Oh no, that's a screw hole, isn't it? Now, where the metal starts, we've got a how do we describe that? It's a square with a little notch in the middle.
Yeah.
And this is going to fit into there nicely.
Correct. Yeah, that's correct.
Now this piece, first of all, though, is going to go into this.
Yes.
And that will share the screw holes will line up.
Yeah.
And then obviously that will go into there.
There.
This is held in place by the screw holes there, but this is held to this. And then you can see it once it's finished. We've got this nice little, and that is the picture from last week showing us next week.
Exactly, yes.
So QM screws.
QM times 2.
And they're quite long.
And you've got to whoop it up.
Got to whoop it up. So, sorry, I do apologise. I've not been keeping up to date on the chat. So lucky old Ron Cheeky Crouch has a neighbour who takes his parcels in. I always rely on the old red letter system. Sorry we missed you. And then I have it delivered to my local post office 2 days later, where I have to pay 70 pence to pick it up.
Oh.
Which I kind of argue, because if they bring it to my house and do more work, it doesn't cost me a penny. But if I do more work and go to the post office, I have to pay 70p. But I can't guarantee I'll be in when the postman comes. And even if I am in, then I can't guarantee I'll hear him. Right. So I've put the screw through both, and I'm just going to pop that in enough just so that it bites. Usual procedure, guys. And then, obviously, this is now a little bit tricky because I can't see if the holes are lined up. So, there we go. I've done it by feel.
And this cap is going to stick proud of the chassis, is it not, Penny?
Yeah. So obviously this piece of the bodywork will be the same as the opposite, but there'll be a little hole in it.
Yeah.
Right, so that's going in. Oh, that's quite difficult because there's not so much to hold on to because the fuel tank's sticking out. Right, that's in as tight as it'll go. Oh, that does require quite a lot of turns. It was a long screw. Right, there you go. So now I can pretend to be one of the fuelers at work.
Fill her up.
Fill her up. So I'll just change the subject ever so slightly.
Okay.
So there is the fuel filler.
Yeah.
So it's not sticking right out. So the bodywork will come out to there. Yeah. And that's just sitting just behind the driver's cab, which is going to be there.
Right there, yeah.
Right. So we must have more to do. I really like that. I like the way they've got the black bit and the silver cap goes over the top.
And the final, number 9 on this week's issue is just like that. Number 9, the 4 cradle supports 34M fit under the tabs on the frame 17A and 16A. They are not fixed to anything at this stage, so store them safely until they are needed.
Right. So they are going to go there.
As it says on the diagram, yeah, under them flat pads.
Oh, God.
Have you managed?
One of them's a bit loose. Right. Oh, sorry. I'm really sorry. I thought I was on camera. Right. So I put 4 tabs in there and there.
Yeah.
I first of all, I've got to be honest with you, don't do this at home, but I actually picked the chassis up by the safety bars and then I turned it round. Right. So I'm going to give this a little stress test. That will come off if I push it.
Yeah.
But that's not come off by itself.
No.
I would say as a display, you know, to display it on your shelf, I would say that's adequate. Because look, we've got the wheel. The wheels are about 2 mil off the ground.
Is that all?
Yeah, but the wheels are off the ground.
Yeah.
So there's not going to be any weight on the suspension.
Yeah.
There's not going to be as much stress going in the middle of the chassis, which is now more supported with these bars, and they'll be more supported with the bodywork. For me, right now, they're absolutely no good at all because I'm obviously going to be picking this up all the time to build it, and between now and issue 130, they're pretty much useless because you're going to be lifting the bus up and putting it back. But once we reach part 130 and the bus is finished, I wouldn't be, well, I can think of better, but I would say they're fine.
Yeah.
I'm not unhappy with them. I'll see if I can get. This is going to be upside down, guys. If I can, there we go.
Oh, we can see them.
It's not brilliant, but they're all right. I mean, they show quite well, quite a lot. I'm trying to get some really good angles for you. If I bring the whoa, bus collapsed. Oh, there's a screw fell out from somewhere. That's not anything to do with the bus. I'm trying to get it in from a different angle so that. Can you see the clearance?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
There we go.
Excellent.
So,
thank you.
Right. Oh, yes.
So are them blocks supporting on them bars then as well, on the safety bars?
Yeah, it looks like the safety bars are actually touching the block. No, they're not touching the block. I don't think they are. No, they're not. Look. You see, I can move the bar without moving the block.
Yeah. So
they are literally 0.5 mil above that block. So as display blocks, I'm not. I mean, look, there's. I'm trying to find something that you can relate to the size on. Not everyone's going to have the screwdriver. Right, Routemasters screwdriver, the small one that came with issue 1.
Yeah.
That can pass under the wheel.
Yeah.
But the handle won't.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So we have got clearance. So there's not any stress on the suspension.
That's good.
Doesn't look like there's any stress under there. Best, I'll tell you what will be absolutely perfect for determining that size. Oh, I've got a pair of scissors somewhere. I know I have. Right.
I was going to say, would the magazine go under there?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I'm going to get a piece of paper. If I can slide a piece of paper under there. Yeah, look.
Yeah. I see exactly, yeah.
I've slipped a piece of paper underneath.
Yeah.
And it's gone up through.
Yeah.
And there is resistance. There is some resistance, but that might be at the back, actually.
Yeah.
No, yeah, that's it. The resistance is coming. If I push that No, there we go.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, there's no resistance with paper there. Look. So there is clearance, but so as display or for supporting the chassis, I'd say that's fine. For displaying it, it's adequate, but there could be better ways of doing it.
Yeah.
Oh, Chris Campling is doing a build live tomorrow. So if anyone's interested in that, Chris, would you do us a favour? I don't know if you're allowed to on YouTube actually, but can you try and post a link to your channel? I don't know if anyone if there's anyone who hasn't seen his channel, but wonderful channel. And he's just, you know, he was building his 3D printer. He's now actually done his first print, and yeah, it's turned out okay. I didn't want to say anything at the time, but I've heard terrible things about the partwork printer. And when you see the quality of his first print compared to what I've heard about the quality of the printer, it's very, very good. And I know Horlicks has done things to his. He didn't do the Hachette build. He did the D'Agostini one. And he's done a few modifications to the printer, upgraded a few parts. And he's got himself a really good printer.
Jolly good.
So,
well, with them blocks,
is that the end of that build?
Yeah, with them blocks, Penny. All it says now is the assembly guide and the finished views of the chassis on the blocks, the near side and offside views of the subframe resting on the cradle supports, with the bars in place. And here endeth the lesson.
So there's the assembly guide, and I've got to be honest with you, it looks less than we've actually done, or it feels more than that.
Yes.
But getting those bars, those little supports in the right place. Excuse me. Once you figure them out, they're quite easy, but it's figuring them out.
Yeah.
And I think the key is get the middle two in, and then use that safety bar as a ruler and just make sure they're level. You know that safety bar is going along, so what you're looking for ultimately is 4 screw holes on a straight line.
Yeah.
So there's the finished view, which mine roughly looks like that.
Yes, it does. Yeah.
Except that my bus is more in focus than this. Right, so we'll have a quick. We've not done too well. We have done bad actually. Right, I saw this and I kind of went, oh, I actually still remember push buttons like the press bells like that. But I think this is a picture from the magazine. It does go on about there's some nice diagrams, and I believe that this is one of the bells that the passengers weren't allowed to touch.
Right.
I think the passengers used to use the rope that goes down the middle of the bus.
Right.
I don't quote me on that one, but I just saw that and I just went, oh. And if I ever find one of those on eBay, I'm buying it.
Yeah,
what I'd really love to get is one of those and the old-fashioned bus stop and sign, and I want to hook it up so that when I do my YouTube videos, about 10 seconds before the end of the video, I'm going to press the button so that the sign behind me says bus stopping, and you know it's coming to the end of the video.
My dad actually had one of them on his front door, rigged to his front doorbell.
Really? Oh, that would be fantastic.
He had it on for ever so many years.
Yeah. So next week, I couldn't get the best shot ever. I was kind of a little bit rushing the scanner and it kept going wrong. But that's the picture we've got for next week. And it says starting work on the driver's cab. Parts are supplied for the floor, sidewall and handbrake, together with 2 switches. So it looks like we've got two tiny, let's see if I can get the square. There we go. Looks like we're going to have two tiny pieces,
Yeah.
which we're going to have to save for later.
Yeah.
And I know that the week after, issue 36 is going to be Driver's Cab Part 2.
Also, yes. Yeah.
So we might get our first seat.
We might, yeah. We might
because you can't stand up and drive, can you?
We might get the 7th wheel as well.
Yes, yes. So, but it looks like, I mean, this is a bugbear with most people. Let me take this off. Hopefully, yeah, right. This has been many moans about this, and that being, this is the rear of the bus, and the woodwork. Most people aren't happy with it.
Yeah.
I'm certainly looking at, well, I do want to do one build exactly as the magazine is, but my Newport bus is definitely going to have that wood done.
Yeah.
I think it's Jason has sent me some samples of veneer. But I've bought lollipop sticks, and they're all things to experiment with.
Yeah.
But I'll be taking that, stripping that right down, because I don't want to add any height to it. And then maybe take a millimeter down and then add a 1 millimeter strip or however long.
Yeah.
So, right. I do apologise.
To watch that.
Sorry, carry on, Dave.
It'd be interesting to watch that.
Yes. Well, because most of the chassis is done, I might be in a position to crack on with it. The biggest problem I've got now is finding a pot that's big enough to put the chassis pieces in to strip the paint.
Yeah.
Right. So we've done next week. Now, I made a promise that I was going to try and show the front off. So I'm going to do my absolute best here. And this is for the benefit of Adrian Langley, I think his name. I've forgotten it. I'm terrible. I really am bad with names. So trying to get, let me get the bonnet first, because I'm about to balance this on my lap. Right, now I think a lot of people have been saying that this is going to be difficult to get on. Some people have even speculated that, let's see if I can do it the right way round for you, which means I've got to hold the bus upside down. Right, so if I move that back, that's not going to work, because I want to bring it lower. Oh, right, that's probably the best I'm going to get. So some people have speculated that they were going to have to strip bits down, take the wheels off. I don't think so. Right, I know that we've got two holes on this. Sorry, guys, I'm going to have to... No, we'll do it this way. Right, so we've got two screw holes. What looks like screw holes. And that has just gone in like a dream. That's pretty much... Oh, I haven't got the fog lamp in, have I?
And can you access the screw holes from underneath?
Yes. Because what you're going to have to do... Oh.
Just turn the
right.
wheels in.
Got it. Right. So... Right. So, can you see the screw hole there?
Oh, yes.
You just see the silver underneath.
Yeah.
Now, what you're going to have to do is get that screw in, then you're going to have to turn the wheel, and then that reveals... Let's see if I can get a better light. There we go.
Oh, yes, I can see that one too.
But then that covers up the front one, so you turn, and there's the front one.
Yeah.
Okay, so...
Excellent.
Hopefully this will stay on. This will be the view. I'm being very careful how I turn this. I do like these safety bars. So that's it from the top.
Yeah.
So we can see the engine bay. Obviously, it's only held in, so it's not in properly. That fog lamp hasn't quite lined up properly. I'm sure with a bit of manipulating it will.
Yeah.
I can see that the wheel arch is just poking out a little bit. So that's looking lovely. I really do like that. And then if I can balance that there. Right, be careful. Don't move. Please don't move. I don't know. Well, obviously the bonnet's going to attach with screws there.
Yeah.
But that's going to sit there when it's on.
Wow. Look at that.
That's beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then we've got a very small driver's cab going to go in there.
Well, in theory, Penny, the driver actually has over the wheel as well. So
yes,
but
even all of that space. Yeah. And of course, you can now start to see. I know that one of the complaints about the Routemasters was it got bloody hot in there.
Yeah.
And when you see that the driver's cab is there and the engine is there, you can see why.
Noisy too.
Yes. But, you know, he does his job for the customers, not for his own benefit.
Yeah.
So, in the absence of, I can't see any comments from Adrian, so I'm assuming he's not going to be able to make it. Are you happy with that? I mean, that may not be exactly how it goes, but it certainly looks like it is. And I'm now starting to see there's a little tiny tab there. And that's just holding it on the wheel arch. And I didn't notice that before. And I'm starting to notice where the screw holes are. But this is a twist and put on. It's not just going to slip on.
Yeah.
But I think the key is line it up with the screw holes there first.
Yeah.
And then the rest will kind of come into place around it.
And I can't see it being that long before we're putting that front on.
No. Oh, there we go. But this bit on the back, this tab is going to go just above the mud guard, the mud flap. So that tab, then line those up, and these kind of feel like they're going to clip in place. The bit that I wanted to see was the radiator behind the grille.
Yeah.
So really, I don't think we need to worry about the detail, do we?
No.
Because you're not going to see it. The dry brushing I still quite like, but it's not really going to make a lot of difference. So if you fancy dry brushing, give that radiator a go, because if you mess it up, it's not really going to make a lot of difference. Yeah. Actually, should I be really brave and go for the headlight bulb? Oh, that's where it's going to be awkward, because we're going to hook that up. Jesus Christ. That's not going to be easy. Yeah, there's no maneuvering space at all.
Tweezers.
Oh my God. You can't. The only place to get at it is at the top. Sorry, is in there. Oh, because if you take this off. Yeah, that is going to be a lot of people have trouble with that unless they're going to show us a way to do it.
Yeah.
So that's the front on. Okay, and we've only got about 15 minutes. I'm going to put the chassis on the shelf now, guys, if you're all right with that. Yeah. I think we've covered everything with the chassis. Right, okay, I've got two things that I would like to bring up. I'll bring the last item up next, because that comes on from last week. So those of you that were watching at the beginning of the show may have noticed a slight change. I've lost it. Here we are. We had a bit of fun this afternoon. We painted this guy up. But this is, I'm calling him Mr. Concept. We talked about 3D printed figures last week, and I printed one of the guys off. Let me turn that off. So this is, it's a very, very quick paint job. As you see, the quality of the print, I'm going to have to do the auto manual focus. So excuse his eyes, it didn't quite come out as I wanted. But what we've done is we found a figure and we printed him off, and that's what he looks like.
I think he looks brilliant.
He was this colour all over to start with. And to be honest with you, it was an excuse to use the blue filament. Is there a yes? There is a place where you put the LED, and there's a little hole in the headlight, but reaching it is going to be quite difficult. However, we're jumping ahead, so we may not be doing it the way that they're going to suggest us to do it. Yeah. I found so far in 34 issues that if you do it pretty much the way they ask you to do it, you have less problems.
Yeah.
So this is Mrs. Concept, and I promise you she's not naked, even though she looks it. And this figure I've printed off, I think she's 5.5 inches. And again, we're dealing with numbers, which makes it, you know, numbers could just mean anything. When you actually put this figure, this is how big the figure is. So it's not small.
Yeah.
And I've put the bus away now, so
she would equate to 5'6" then, wouldn't
well,
she?
yeah, I didn't realise. It's one of these stupid things that you don't necessarily realise till afterwards. But there's 12 inches in a foot, and this is 1 to 12 scale. So therefore, 1 foot is 1 inch. So I don't know if you can see the bus in the background. There's the front. So just about everybody now. Take care, Roger. Thank you very much for popping in. Most people can relate to the size of a wheel.
Yeah.
This is Mr. Concept sitting next to the wheel.
All right.
So you can see he's probably, I think they're large wheels. I'm pretty sure that the buses I drive, I'm pretty sure the wheels aren't that size. And this is Mrs. Concept, but I think possibly that's about the right size. But if anyone gets has got a 6-inch ruler, just get the ruler out. And these are massive for figures. Most of the figures, I mean, look, here's a figure that I've been painting last month, which is this is a big troll. So he's a big beast. These are the figures that I tend to paint. So you can see the size difference, and she's the size of a large monster, 6 inches tall. Actually, a chance for me to show off me painting models now. So this is a big, I mean, look, you can see the size of this beast, can't you?
Yeah.
And there's Mrs. Concept. So these are, and I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, how many does the bus hold? 60, 70 people? Probably. And I'm going to print.
Yeah.
I'm going to print 60 of these off.
Are you going to have a full load then?
Well, no, I think I'm going to have a bus at 5 o'clock in the morning, just full of cleaners and night shift workers that are going home, because there's no way I'm going to print figures off for the rush hour. But I mean, I won't know for definite if the scale is right until we get this female conductor.
Yeah.
And then obviously I'll hold her against. But I thought maybe if I print off all the if this is the correct scale,
Yeah.
I'm going to hold it like this so it looks even bigger than it actually is.
Yeah.
I thought if this is the correct scale, if I print off all the women, I'm call me sexist or whatever the word is here. If I print all the women off between 5 and 5.5 inches or 5.8 inches, and I print all the men off 5.5 to 6.5, but most of them below around about below 6 foot, because we're talking the 60s here, aren't we?
Yeah.
So
I think you'll
yeah,
have it
so
right.
that's these figures. So I mean the pose, I mean that's not a good pose for a bus customer, and I can't have all of the men looking like that. They're going to have to be different poses.
Yeah.
I'm very new to the design element of 3D printing. I just took this off the internet and I printed it. I've done some minor designing to stuff, but really not. I mean, all I've done, this is my greatest piece of designing. I've got a holder here, and you see this bit here. This was the actual design. I've added a box to the other side.
Oh, right.
Now a box is just some lines that I've added in and then added in some holes. That's the extent of my design work at the moment. So I am a long way off from producing this. But if I can figure out, for example, how to cut her arm, say at the elbow, and then reposition it,
Yeah.
it might even be that I actually have to physically cut her arm off and
Yeah.
reposition it. I'd be able
Yeah.
to do that. But I'd rather make different poses, and then I don't know whether to make these available as 3D prints, or if I make a two-part cast on them. I think making a cast would be better because these two were a 6-hour print.
Yeah.
Whereas if I did them a cast, I just have 2 squares of silicone and I just pour resin in and I just leave them overnight. And I could do as many of those as I want. I could do 100 of them, and then if I wanted to resell them, they would cost. I think these cost about 50p each to produce on the 3D printer. The resin would probably be between 50p and £1. So I could sell them for £3 each and make a whopping profit out of it.
I bet you could too. Yeah, yeah, easy.
Yeah, this is it. Love Minis has said that you need the seats and the body to know the size of the people. The only way I'll know that this is the right size, once we get the seat, we'll put him on a seat and we'll see what he looks like.
Yeah.
But if we're going to get the driver's cab done in a couple of weeks, we might be able to get the sizing sorted out within a couple of weeks. We might get him in the driver's cab.
Yeah.
In fact, he might look like a driver a bit there with his hands like that.
But not with his legs.
But not with his legs, no. Because the only foot he's got available is the foot that he doesn't need. So, right, okay. But yeah, no, Love Minis has said that I can convert them. I won't be able to convert these because they've got infill in them. And what infill means, have I got any examples of? No, do you know what? I emptied my bin the other. This might do it. No, that's too strong. Right. Okay, look, I'm going to be. No, even these are too strong. There we go. Right. Sorry, I've snapped a leg off, but right. What infill means is you might already know all this anyway, and I apologise if I've just broken one of my figures just to show you something you already know. When you print these off, you can set them to have infill. Obviously, you need to put something inside, and rather than fill them solid, it fills it full of triangles. So if you can see that, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Now, this is set to 20% infill, so it's got quite large triangles. If I set it to, say, 50% infill, then there'll be a lot smaller triangles. So obviously, cutting her arm off and then repositioning. It's not going to be that simple. If it was a solid model, I'd make a clean cut through, and then I could just cut angles and reposition. But and then take a cast of the model, and then we'd go for that. But yeah, I mean, this is all stuff that I'll be playing with. I do a Twitch session every Sunday, which I call Chilled Out. And it's just what that basically means is we just sit back and we chill out. And we do, it's my call. I'll do what I want rather than certain days I do certain things. Like on a Wednesday, I only do the Routemasters. So I can't pull out my favourite. I can't do my soul grinder on a Wednesday because that's all about Routemasters. And we're always looking to do new things. And we just basically want to just chill out on a Sunday afternoon. So it can be done on that. Thank you, Alan Rooney. Thank you very much for coming in. And thank you for reminding me of the bins. That's going to be the thing now, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
So I'm going to have a quick scroll through, see if there's anything obvious that I've missed. It's really nice that Horlicks popped in. I was really happy with that.
Yeah.
Although at the same time I'm upset because he's supposed to be on holiday forgetting about everything.
Yeah. Well, rest assured he'll be back. I don't want to take his place.
Well, I mean, we love having you on the show though. So right, the last thing I'd like to talk about, and I think you're one of the best people to speak about this. A couple of people have mentioned, I've just dropped a bit. Oh, I don't believe that. I've just picked a bit of the bus up and I've dropped it and it's bounced. And I don't know where it is. It was the cap on the engine. Remember the bits that fell off because I had the bus upside down. Okay. Right. My head's going to bob down. In fact, I'm going to move the view to Dave. So we've not seen you much today. I'm really, really sorry. Right. So converting buses, quite a few people are doing new paint jobs, myself included, and you've already begun. Now, some people have said, oh, I want to do this. And my advice is that it's not as easy as it looks.
No, definitely not. In fact, if you just give me a second. Oh, there we are. Is it moved over to me? Can you see me?
Yeah, we've still got you. Yes. Yeah, that looks absolutely amazing, Dave. I saw the pictures on Facebook.
This is Christine's front end, and we all did the front end many moons ago, didn't we? And before we really decided that we was going to paint one or even two, we put them together as you did yours, and then when we decided we was going to paint it, we realised that it had to be all taken apart again. So obviously all the strips and everything all had to be taken apart. All the lights, even the chrome surround around the outside, that all had to come off, and all be stripped down so that it could be painted. And to paint all that's taken about 10 days all in, because you've got your drying, your sanding, your preparation, all stripping down and everything, and then putting it back together once it's dried, because of course you can't just do it in one day. Well, you could, but your fingers would end up all painted and you wouldn't end up with such a nice quality of paint. So it takes time, and other than that, it takes proper paint as well.
And you can't just use any paint.
No, this is actually coach paint that we're using, and it's based on Mason's paint codes. And Mason's is about the best paint that you could buy for coach painting a vehicle. And this is specially mixed to go in spray cans, but they also do, the company I buy it off, they also do 60 ml pots of touch-up paint. And this.
Sorry, you just caught my alarm on stream, didn't you? That's my
this,
alarm to take out the bins.
take out the bins, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
this actually took Christine 2 hours last night to put back together after it had thoroughly dried, and it isn't finished yet. It still needs touching up. There's still a couple of small places that still have a little bit of red paint on, and even where we've silver Sharpie penned the strips on the top of the wing there, we've caught a little bit of the green. So it's very, very difficult. Very difficult. I can't stress enough how difficult it is.
However, I think that's the easy bit.
But it's very, very worthwhile. Very worthwhile.
Yeah. But I think that's the easy bit. I found the hardest bit is finding, well, first of all, you've got to find someone who can do decals. And then you've got to make the decals. Because we're doing a concept model, we won't be able to just buy the decals from a shop. We've got to get them made. Well,
I've been very fortunate in finding someone who I've not bought any decals off him yet, but I've found someone who can actually do it.
Right.
That's what he does. He makes decals for models, and he makes any size decals, water slide transfers they are, with the proper signage and everything. And I've yet to talk to him properly about the whole subject, but as far as I'm aware, he's a member of one of these model building clubs,
right.
And he does make transfers and for models. And I have had a quick word with him and asked him if he could make them to the sort of scale that we want. And he said, yes, I can.
Right.
And yes, you will be able to get in touch with me later on when you get a bit further on in your build.
Could you do me a massive favour?
What's that?
There will be certain decals that will be the same on your bus as mine.
Yeah.
Signage and things inside the bus.
Yeah.
Could he possibly arrange that the common ones would go on one side of the decal sheet, and then would it be as simple as altering? See, like yours will say whatever bus company on the side.
Yeah.
Mine will say Newport Transport on the side. Probably a very similar font, but just different letters.
Yeah.
So would it be easier for everybody if perhaps we could all go through the same source? He can use the common ones and duplicate those, and then just do the alterations that we need.
I have actually ran something by him quickly because I didn't have an awful lot of time to talk to him. But he did say other people would be welcome to contact him.
Fantastic.
And so in the future, in the near future, I will put something out that can be able to contact this guy. I don't want to tell everybody his name right now because
no. Because my next question was going to be once it looks like he can do it, would you be prepared to share the contact details with his permission?
Absolutely, with his permission. Yes, I would. Yes. Because it's what goes around comes around, and if it helps somebody, then fair enough.
Which is what this community is all about. What I discover, I share with you, and what you discover, you share with me.
Yeah, and I actually found this guy just by the off chance. He was actually a member of a group that I have on Facebook, and one of the bus Facebook groups, and he's actually a member of that group. So I just found him by the off chance.
So, do you have any idea roughly what these decals would cost?
I have no idea whatsoever. I think they're going to be expensive.
I'm expecting,
because they are basically a one-off. They're a one-off build.
I mean, on the basis that I could go out and buy, say, for example, an Airfix kit, and then go out and buy aftermarket decals. This is something that a company has produced to sell to lots of people.
Yeah.
We're talking about £6 for a decal sheet. So I would imagine that a specially made sheet would be 15, £20.
Quite possibly. I
Right.
haven't got a clue really. So it all depends on what he comes back with. I've yet to send him details of my build, or I should have said mine and Christine's build, because we both want different on each of our builds.
Yeah.
And once he said all that he wants is measurements. So if we can give him quick measurements, rough
Yeah.
measurements of what the decals are, height, length, etc., and photographs of fonts, if we can do that as well, that would be helpful. Or
Yeah.
photographs of the actual decals that are on real buses, then that would be more than helpful. And obviously that will cut down the cost, I would
Yeah.
have thought, because we're doing half the work. You know, we're
So I need to hurry up and do my visit to the bus company in Usk. There's a company that rents out Routemasters, and they've
yeah,
agreed to let me go down with my camera. And what I wanted to do was photograph as much of each bus as I can, as
yeah,
many inches of it as I can.
yeah,
So it looks like perhaps I need to hurry up and do that. Obviously, if
yeah,
anybody else comes up with anything, they all can get shared. If anybody's not in is there anybody not in the Facebook group? I would strongly advise to join it. Obviously, if you're not into Facebook, then that's fine. But we try to share things from the Facebook group on here.
yeah.
But obviously, if you can get in the Facebook group, I'll try and post a link. I would strongly advise anyone who's not in it to get in it. So about I think I don't know if I can post links. We'll give it a try.
Going back to decals, Penny, I mean, obviously we don't want them yet because we haven't got all the bodywork.
No.
And so, you know, we can't do anything with the decal that you can't put on a bodywork. And
No.
it's probably best thinking about this, you know, in 8-10 months' time or so, when we've got more of the bus, and then we can look at the details to it then, you know,
Yeah.
because you want to be using these decals pretty soon after you buy them, I would have thought. You don't want
Yes.
them you don't want them hanging around somewhere because
I
they're going
mean,
to be very fragile.
the time frame that I've given myself approximate for my build is about 10 weeks after this bus is finished.
Right,
It might be even longer than that.
right.
So yeah, and I'm probably, I mean, obviously decals on the inside might need doing before we do the outside, because once we start to build the outside, we're going
Yeah,
to lose access to the inside. But
yes,
I
absolutely.
mean, one of the things I thought about is because I'm going to be stripping all the paint off, even those little decals. Do you remember the engine ones that said on off and stuff?
Yeah,
I may actually need to get another one of those
yeah,
because I'm going to be stripping the paint off.
yeah,
So they will need to be replaced. So we're actually going to be copying some of the decals that we've got.
yeah,
So yeah, it's really not as, I mean, it looks as simple as just, and even like you say, the respraying the paint is going to be difficult, and obviously
yeah,
that's going to cost money. And if
yeah,
you're having the paint made, I mean, if you can go for an off the shelf color, then fine. I mean, I'm very lucky in that I may be out because my company runs a for hire double decker. They've got the actual paint, an exact color match from the day.
yeah,
Our modern service buses are a different green, presumably for the cost, and they've actually got rid of the cream now. This is a funny story, actually. Because the uniform shirts used to be cream, it turns out that buying a cream shirt for a uniform is more expensive than buying a white shirt. So at some point, the MD has changed the colours from green and cream to green and white, just so that he could change. That's the rumour. I don't know if that's the truth, but I can actually get hold of the actual green paint that is an exact color match. It will be the exact same paint, so I'm saving money there. But then again, I'm thinking of I'm going to try and get this bus that I make put into the boardroom, so it'll be on like permanent loan. I might even be able to send it to the library, and or somewhere.
Display there,
you know, it's a concept model. There is also a guy who does little brass plaques. He does them on eBay. I'll find the link for that for next week. But he's been selling the little plaque, and it says like RM blah 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 whatever. You give him the name, and it says built by Penny Blake, and whatever. So we can get the little plaques. Also, I can't show you today because the idea came to my head this afternoon. I think I may already have a transportation case.
Right.
Like I can't show you, but if you're impatient, go online and search KR cases. I buy these cases. They are for wargaming, and let me. I'm going to talk with my hands, so I'm going to change the screen to me. Basically what this company does, they do a variety of cases, but the one that I've got is a big case about 3 foot, and inside there is 4 boxes, and inside each of those boxes is 3 rows of foam, and then the foam has got little holes cut out, specially made to put miniatures in, so that the miniatures are surrounded by foam. And I want to get the case out. Like I said, I only came up with the idea this afternoon, so I've not had time to act on it. But if I took the boxes out, got some pieces of foam, I think we might fit the bus in there. So the bus will be surrounded by foam, and then what we can do is we can get sections of foam, lengths. So when we've got the chassis, we can put the chassis in and put lots of foam. And then as, say, the bottom deck gets filled up, we can remove some of the strips of foam and then just keep removing the foam until we've got the correct height. The only drawback is it's got a lovely little shoulder strap. It's like a big, if I put it on my shoulder, the bottom of the bag comes down to below my knee. That's how big the bag is. And the only way you'll get the bus in, it'll be nose or back down as opposed to level. But I think that might work. So I'll dig the bag. It'll probably be at the weekend. I'll dig the bag out. I'll pull all the boxes out, and I'll try. And what I keep meaning to do this, we've got the measurements somewhere for the bus. I want to make a cardboard box of exactly the dimensions that we're looking at for the bus. So then we'll have an idea of I'm like to say, we get numbers 2,000 millimeters by 1,000 millimeters. They're numbers. When you actually see it in front of you, then you've got an idea of how big it's going to be. And I think this is a lot bigger than we think it is. Because we already know the length of it, don't we? And we know it's going to be a little bit longer because we've got the rear platform to come on. I think I've just lost Dave there. Sorry, guys. I think... Right. I'm not sure if I'm still live, if it's my connection lost or if we've lost Dave. However, we're looking at closing down the show now anyway. Let me check my list. Right. So are you guys sort of okay? I don't want you all to jump into customizing if unless you're sure about it, because it's a big thing to do. Dave, you've got the group. I like to say, strongly recommend you join that group. Some people complain in the group, as they do. Some people are just there just to post pictures of their build, and I enjoy watching those pictures. Some people are offering advice. Yeah, it's all good stuff. So, right, guys, if there's anything that I've forgotten to do, by all means, drop me a message somehow. I'm on Facebook. My Facebook is www.com/ladyphoenix.uk. Obviously, you can drop a comment in this video. Thank you all for watching. Next week, we're going to be working on the driver's cab, which I'm rather excited about. Genuinely am excited. That's going to be one of my favorite areas. Hope you've enjoyed the show. And I don't even know if I'm actually still running. I say I've lost Dave, but it could be me lost him rather than he lost me. So I'm just going to see if my two fingers come up. Yeah, okay, I'm still running. Okay, guys, so yeah, I'm going to end it there because I say it's getting late now anyway. Unfortunately, I still have to work. I haven't won the lottery yet, so I have to go bed early and get up for work. So guys, take care. Hopefully I'll see you all next week. Thank you for a wonderful show. I'm just going to quickly run through the comments again in case I've missed anything. I don't think I have. And some of the comments, I can't remember what the context was. So, yeah, I think I've covered everything. Yeah, Fleetwood J, I don't know if you still watch, I'm sorry. Really taking shape now. It's every bit that we build is adding a lot to the bus now. I think these side bits, there's not a lot of it, but it's just what there is just really added. Right, guys, so I'm going to disappear now. Horlicks, if you're still watching, hoping you're having a wonderful holiday. Thank you, Verwayne. Thank you for watching. I don't recognize. So Dave Milne, take care. And Love Minis says, great show. Thank you very much. So I'm signing off. I'll see you all next week. Keep watching and still enjoy your builds. I can't find the mouse. No, there we go. Right. Take care, guys. And thank you, Dave Say, as well. Thank you so much for filling in. And it's been a great show, partly because of you. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.